you could see that somewhere the passes were not connecting. They were failing to keep the ball together. It felt like the pitch was just bigger than usual for them. They have to play their football to their best of their abilities. And the reality is, if they let Sundowns keep the ball, if they let Sundowns play their football, then they're going to end up in a situation where they go a goal down in the first half.
He pulls it back. Rasmus Højlund. Thunderous. It's an absolute net buster.
Hello and welcome to the Diski Preview Show. My name is yours truly, Mr. E. And today we're going to be taking a look at two blockbuster games that will be taking place over the weekend. Orlando Pirates will welcome Mamelodi Sundowns at the FNB Stadium, while Richards Bay will play against Kaizer Chiefs at the Kings Wellington Stadium. And the man who's responsible for the match analysis and the predictions is here in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome yours truly, Mo.
Oh, Mr. E, thank you for the warm welcome.
It's always a pleasure having you in the studio.
Yeah, no, it's a big one. We have a weekend that many have been waiting for a while now. I feel like most South African football fans didn't even watch the games last week. We were just worried about this weekend.
Yes. And it's been moved out to the FNB Stadium, the home ground of Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah, but there's no Kaizer Chiefs.
It shows how big the game is.
But it begs the question, is this game now the new Soweto derby? Obviously, one team is not from Soweto, but is this the new, in terms of status? Because the argument that prompted them to move it from Orlando to Soccer City was the fact that they said, we can't risk having too many people
like what happened at Loftus Stadium last time.
So they said, listen, because of the amount of people that will be at the stadium, we can move to Soccer City, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, Soccer City, that's where the action is going to take place. Orlando Pirates playing against Mamelodi Sundowns, while Richards Bay will welcome Kaizer Chiefs at the Kings Wellington Stadium. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll take a look at those two games in detail. We are still watching the Diski Preview Show as we take a look at our first game. It's Orlando Pirates versus Mamelodi Sundowns, and that action is going to take place at the FNB Stadium, as we said earlier on, Mr. Mo, the home ground of Kaizer Chiefs. Do you think, or rather you mentioned that this could be or potentially the new Soweto derby, although one of the teams is not coming or is not coming from Soweto?
Yes, Mr. E. I mean, it's a big game in any stretch of the imagination. The nice thing about it is that it's first versus second. A lot of people are having the conversation about whether or not the title race is still on.
Yeah.
Because when you look at how far behind Orlando Pirates is to Mamelodi Sundowns, there's a giant gap. But also you have to take into consideration that Sundowns has played 21 games, Orlando Pirates has played 17 games. So it's not the same conversation that we could be having if we said, if both teams are sitting on the same amount of games played.
Yeah, but games in hand are not 3 points or rather points in hand.
Yeah,
so do you think Orlando Pirates is going to be able to win those games to try and catch up with Mamelodi Sundowns?
We've seen it happen before in the PSL. I mean, the PSL, for me, the PSL is notorious for it.
Yeah.
Where you wrap up a race and say, listen, these guys are 5 games behind. They can come back and they're going to win it. But then when it gets into the business end of the season, those 5 games could all be wins. I mean, it's the PSL after all.
Yeah.
When you think about right now, which teams you would consider to have the ability to be able to beat
Mamelodi Sundowns.
Sundowns.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, who do you think can beat Sundowns in the next few games?
Yeah.
It's not just anyone. You know? Same thing for Orlando Pirates. Who could beat Orlando Pirates at this point of the season? It's not just anyone. So I think from that perspective, you have to also bear in mind that it's not that kind of league where everyone can beat everyone. Chances are that Pirates will walk away with all the points from those games.
Yeah. So we saw this before when Kaizer Chiefs, I think at one particular time a couple of years back, it was leading by 12 points, only for Mamelodi Sundowns to win all its remaining games and win the league way ahead of Kaizer Chiefs.
It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of the fans will have to be honest to themselves about the reality of this situation.
Yeah.
The point gap is not a true reflection of what's happening in the league.
Exactly.
Yes, we know that, all right, first of all, it's Mamelodi Sundowns, but that was Rulani's Mamelodi Sundowns. This is a different Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah.
And even when you look at their last few games played, especially like their form coming into this game, they're sitting there with one loss, 1 draw, and 5 wins in their last 7 games. So it shows you that Orlando Pirates also has the same amount of losses, 2 losses, and all of their games are wins. So their form is similar. So when it comes to the league right now, I can't split them. Split them.
Yeah.
You see, they were sitting on the same amount of games. I'll be having that same argument to say, no, Sundowns has run away with it once again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Orlando Pirates there for you, locking horns with Mamelodi Sundowns. Now let's take a look at some. I know Mamelodi Sundowns is a very tough opponent. Let's look at some of the battles that we expect on Sunday, the 16th of March, in the middle of the park, where Mukwena and I don't know whether it's going to be Undlondo or Umakehleni Makaula will be playing. How do you think things are going to pan out there in the middle of the park?
I think it's going to be a big one in terms of the middle of the park, but I think where this game will be won, it will be in the wide areas.
Yeah.
I think Dion Hotto will play a big part in this game, but he'll be asked to do a lot more defending, especially against Reines and Ribeiro, depending on where Ribeiro's going to be showing up, because he gets flexibility in terms of positioning.
He shows up everywhere.
Yeah, so it'll be a big one in terms of that conversation. But there's so much going on at Orlando Pirates behind the closed doors on the pitch as well. You have to be worried about them coming into this match, especially because for the longest part of the season,
what is going on?
I mean, the selling issue is still lingering.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still discussing that for Orlando Pirates' perspective.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of people are also still discussing what's happening in terms of their form. You know, this is not the same Pirates we saw at the start of the season that went through the MTN 8. They came into the CAF Champions League on fire.
Yeah.
They went into the Premier League, PSL on fire. The reality is that some of these players are tired now. I mean, Mabasa, Mahopa, Tito, Mufukeng.
Yeah. Like Tito, I know he hasn't been playing very well of late. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, he's playing, but he's not that same Tito that we have known all along from the start of the season.
The brain gets tired, Mr. E.
Yeah.
The brain gets tired. You can't expect these players to be playing at the top level for 32 games in a season. You've added extra games to Pirates' calendar with the CAF Champions League.
Yeah.
So these players are playing more games than they played last season. Yeah. They're playing tougher opponents than they did last season, and they're still expected to go on and win all the trophies. I mean, you see it with their runs in a few of the trophies they've been in, that somewhere fatigue is coming in. Somewhere the players can't keep up with everything that's happening, and that's what's giving Sundowns the advantage in the league, because Sundowns is used to the rhythm of playing CAF Champions League.
Yeah, and they've got a big squad, so the squad rotation is actually better than Orlando Pirates.
If you're loving the video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave us a comment below, and share by clicking on the share button.
And if you're not part of the Betfred family, simply open an account with us and get up to 500 free spins and up to 5,000 Rand first deposit match.
Let's get back to the video.
Now let's take a look at the other battle that we expect. It's going to be Reyners and CBC.
Yeah, and I think Reyners will win that one. CBC, I think. And I'm not being smart.
You know, the minute Reyners wins that one, it's a goal.
Yeah, the moment, and that's the reality, because you look at these two sides, né?
Yeah.
And with Pirates, sometimes they're guilty of not finishing.
Yeah.
They're guilty of playing too much football and not playing enough, penetrative passes into the right areas.
Yeah.
They
don't get the end product.
Especially against a team like Sundowns that keeps the ball to themselves.
Yeah.
So they need to be playing quick counter-attacking football against the Sundowns, because they're not going to see much of the ball. So in those kind of situations, you have a Reyners who has the pace, you have a Reyners who has the finishing ability, and then whereas you have Peter Shalulile who's always popping up in the right position. So there's a lot of battles that will take place around the pitch, but I think defensively, Pirates has to be sound, because Sundowns is going to come from every direction trying to get those goals. And the reality is that you have a goal poacher in Sundowns, you have a playmaker in Ribeiro, you have a
Allende in the middle.
You have Allende, a ball winner. You have a metronome with Mukwena in the middle as well.
Yeah.
So these players, I mean, we saw them against Kaizer Chiefs, and I want to reference that game because it was a big game as well at Soccer City.
Yeah.
You could see that somewhere the passes were not connecting. They were failing to keep the ball together. It felt like the pitch was just bigger than usual for them. They have to play their football to their best of their abilities. And the reality is, if they let Sundowns keep the ball, if they let Sundowns play their football, then they're going to end up in a situation where they go a goal down in the first half.
More certainly. The last time that these two teams met, 4 goals went past the goalkeeper for Orlando Pirates. Do you think the same? We might get a lot of goals again when they go head to head over the weekend.
And if you look at it, some of those goals came from mistakes in their build-up. I mean, one thing about Orlando Pirates is that when they want to play their football, they'll build up from the back.
Yeah.
And those are mistakes that were coming from deep line midfielders, from centre backs, where they would lose the ball and someone like Ribeiro could run the length of the pitch to go score a goal.
Yeah.
So the reality is that they have to learn from those lessons. And the lesson they need to learn is you can't be trying to backhill a pass against the Sundowns. You understand? You have to be sure you pass luck.
Yeah.
So they have to play their football to and that was in Pretoria, by the way.
It was in
so
Pretoria.
they have to mitigate the risk of playing too confidently, too comfortably.
Yeah.
They have to play their football calm, cool, and connected. And also, they have to play without trying to rush the goals. Because if you try to rush Mamelodi Sundowns, you're going to open gaps, you're going to concede goals.
Yeah, surely it's going to be a big game when the two teams go head-to-head over the weekend. But before we take a quick break, let's just get into the prediction side of things of this game here between Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. Mr. Mo, as we mentioned earlier on, it was 4 past Orlando Pirates last time.
Yeah.
What do you think your predictions? What are your predictions? What do you think is going to happen this time around?
I think this one will be close. I think it could be a 2-1 or a draw.
Yeah.
I think it will be much closer than the 4-0 or 4-1 we saw last time in Pretoria. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm going for both teams to score. I'm going for goals over 1.5.
Okay, and who's going to take this one?
I think Sundowns will take this one. The away side will take it.
Okay, and the goal scorers for this one, yeah?
Yeah, no, I can't say goal scorers. You're asking for a lot. But I can't say goal scorers.
Those are the predictions of more on the game between Amapagania and Orlando. Mamelodi Sundowns. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll take a look at our second game that will feature today. It's Richards Bay and Kaizer Chiefs.